a demo account for Pro. So I'm going to show you Enterprise and tell you what is missing from Pro, or sorry, from Enterprise, sorry, what is missing from Pro that is in Enterprise as we go through it.
Okay.
All right. So this is essentially blinded customer data, so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So in Pro, you have this overview right here, but you won't have analytics. Analytics gives you, challenges and score data and all that kind of stuff, but you can't really use it because the CMS that you're using doesn't support all the scoring stuff. So you would end up paying money for something you can't use anyway. So that's why I was suggesting the Pro solution. So what Pro does is it will only challenge essentially suspicious users, people that we think are either bad humans, such as click farms, or server-based users, or any number of behavioral patterns. So Pro runs on the same machine learning driven system that Enterprise does. So there's, I don't know, 8,000 to 10,000 different models that are out there constantly learning across the 27 million websites that we're on. So it has a lot of data to churn, and it spits out scoring data. You won't get the scoring, but you will get the automatic challenge for only those suspicious users. So the reality is something like 0.01% of your legitimate users may periodically receive a challenge, but it's unlikely that'll even happen. It does mean that some users will fall below that threshold as well, where they might be suspicious, but may not get challenged. It's also a very, very low percentage. So what you will be able to see is your overview that'll show you the number that are solved, not solved, and bypassed. This screen is there, and it'll also tell you your volumes. But sites, this is pretty much the same in the passive mode. So you can create a site, any site that you want to create. Don't have to name it, but if you want to, we can say that this is Greenpeace.fr, for instance. You can put in this if you want. It's not necessary. Our system's smart enough to realize what site it's actually on. So this is really just for, predominantly it's used for people that have a huge number of domains that they're hosting as an account, so that you know which one's which, but the name is the same, right? So you don't have to put that. What you will have you will not have ad quality, and you will not have passive, but you will have always challenge and 99% passive in the Pro version. Within Pro, once you choose 99% passive, you can choose how aggressive you want that to be. So low, only challenge very high risk challenge traffic. I wouldn't recommend that. Flash is probably not something that you have to deal with, but if you have people repeatedly doing it, or you're seeing spam get through, you may want to elevate all the way to Flash as well. And then you can hit save. You won't have threat model, instant, private learning. That's all like super advanced stuff that your CMS doesn't use or won't allow you to use yet.
So sorry to interrupt you 1 second. Like in the general, in the overall report, which I personally like a lot, we have the consolidated overview because I saw a bunch of side keys over there. But can you drill down by? Okay, see, you have the drill down. Okay, wonderful, cool, thanks.
Yeah, you can drill down and see individual ones if you wanted. For instance, marketing demo doesn't have anything. Okay, so going back to being able to create more accounts, you can click on manage. So once you've created your main account, and you may put it under, I don't know, greenpeace.org or something like that.
Greenpeace International, exactly.
Okay, great. So you put it under your international one, and then you can add more users below that. And then that user that is below there can elevate themselves back to greenpeace.org. So for instance, so now I am a member of that org. So when I log into demo at intuitionmachines.com, I will be presented with, because it's not a real account, it won't let me do it, and it's not verified yet. So actually, let me see if I can verify.
That's okay. So, Sean,
you get the point.
Yeah, I do. But the sites can obviously have a different domain route. You know, like if some of our sites use greenpeace.org, some of our sites use greenpeace.fr or other domains. I can link different domains to the same account.
Correct.
Okay,
you can.
cool.
That's correct. So just, and what that means is they log in, and now keep in mind that under Pro, it's not secret. So all these different teams will be able to see everyone else's settings, which probably isn't a problem, right?
That's fine.
It's not, yeah. But yeah, so that's Pro, and Pro looks kind of like this. This is not a Pro customer, but they have it implemented in a way that's similar to Pro. For instance, like if you put a bunch of garbage in here, you hit login, it'll automatically trigger this. So you don't have to have this box. You can tie it back to a submit button. You can tie it back to any number of different things. That's called invisible mode, so that they don't actually know that we're there unless they look at the code or until they get a challenge. So in this case, even though I have a very unusual browser, I'm using Firefox. That's like 2% of the market at this point, unfortunately. I have heavily set up for, like, I'm using Privacy Blocker, and I've got a ton of custom uBlock filters. And I have an unusual browser, and I'm even obfuscating some of my RTC data. So all of that combined, because of all of the other things we know, I will not be challenged here when I check this box.
I see.
That is what Pro will also do. But of course, Discord's also getting the scores and a ton of other information behind the scenes that then they act upon separately. But for the sake of stopping message spam, stuff like that, you'll probably be fine with just Pro. And then if your CMS upgrades later to allow scoring and shadow banning and all those more critical, more effective functions, then at that point we can talk about a discounted enterprise plan instead. Yeah, should you want it.
Yeah, no, that was actually my next question, Sean, because my idea is for the moment to actually give this account and open it to these control shift technologies that essentially have a native integration, but in the future we might want to adopt it to other pieces of technology that we use, for instance, like supporter portals, that we have. Yeah. Or any other volunteering websites where they log in, So I'm just asking about the potential scalability of that.
Totally. You can do anything you want with it. Now, if you move to one that is more flexible than Control Shift, which is probably one of the least flexible that we've seen today, but if you have another area like support and they'll allow you to build your own modules against it, then in that case, we can give you two accounts, one that's Pro, that's free, and you can run as much traffic through it pretty much as you want, and then an enterprise account that's discounted that allows you to do everything else, and we can take care of that at a later time.
No, that sounds great, Sean. That sounds wonderful. And yeah, I'm not going to ask a bunch of questions related to the GDPR because that's the reason why we are choosing you.
We are GDPR compliant.
I know. It's we done a bunch of research on that, so that's wonderful.
Yep. And we also have SCCs in the click through in case your legal team needs something a little bit more specific. Nice. Now, if you want to go zero PII, like 100%, never any PII, we don't even see the IP address. You have to go to enterprise where it has the secure enclave function and those type of things, but you can't use that with your CMS yet. They don't have any of that set up.
I see. But you obviously, only thing I'm going to ask is you automatically delete approved request after a regular
That's correct.
Week or something. Okay, good.
Oh, no, it's well, so there's two answers to that. One, if we actually get a request and they have created an account with us, accessibility, or accidentally created a publisher or something like that while using your site, that's usually deleted the same day, often within a couple of hours. Now, if they are contacting us to delete any information we have stored on them as an end user and they've never created an account, there's nothing to delete. So it's instant because it doesn't exist. Because what happens is, as we run on all these different sites, our edge compute is ephemeral serverless. It takes that IP address as well as all the other information and it aggregates it across every other request, and it does it in the privacy region. So for instance, we have, actually, I don't even know how many at this point. I think we have something like 45 points of presence within Europe alone, right? And then we have 17 or something like that in Brazil, which their privacy law is modeled after GDPR. You've got Pipple, which is not a great privacy policy, but it's China's. we're complying with that as well. And we don't send that data downstream. It's all fully anonymized, aggregated, encrypted, and we can't see it. And all that we can see is a hash that says that this particular fingerprint had this score, which you're not even using the score, so it won't even have that. Yeah, I think we're the only truly GDPR one. There's a couple that claim to be, but I don't know how they possibly could be because they're not even processing in the country of origin. So it's kind of weird. But anyways, neither here nor there. So what else?
Not much. I mean, I guess that my question was mostly related of this, but we have other services that we use in this kind of way. We have a master, let's call it agency account, where like all our colleagues that are from different offices opt in case, and we just keep adding domains. It's standard practice that we have. I mean, we would have an agreement with you directly, like Greenpeace International, on behalf of the other offices of the Greenpeace network.
Oh no, you don't even have to do that. There's no contract or anything. What'll happen is when you're ready to get your pro account, we'll just create your account for it. We'll set it to pro and we'll turn off the credit card feed. So essentially there's nothing you have to do, nothing. I mean, we can sign something with you if you want. But
that would be some sort of a kind of a, I'm not going to go with obligation, but yes, obligation sort of, because I'm going to explain you why, because we are a campaigning organization somehow, and we do not allow any of our vendors or any of the people that we contract with to, just bill us directly through credit card or put our name or our logo on their websites because that would mean that we kind of endorse that type of service, which would prevent us from eventually one day campaign if you do bad things against the environment or human rights or climate justice. It's kind
gotcha.
of
I agree. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we would have to have this kind of agreement, and we would like to be like invoiced if whatever makes sense for you, like on an annual basis for a pro account, if that would give us some sort of a I don't know, non-profit reduction or particular advantages, if that's something that you do with your customer. That would be our preferred solution. We get an annual invoice and then we just deal with the agency contract.
Okay. I'll have to go back and see if we can do that with Pro. Pro's been designed to be completely self-service, but yep. I think we probably can. And then we just send you a $0 invoice once a year.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it on what are the extent of that. But we would have to have some sort of a master service agreement, statement of work, name it. Coming to fees, Sean, I remember we were discussing about the fees for Greenpeace France as a pilot office somehow. I remember that was what we discussed beforehand. But you're gonna have to remind me the amounts. I remember it was in the order of the hundreds.
Yeah, so that was enterprise, and so okay. since we had like enterprise has a lot more cost to it than pro, so I have to charge you something, but pro costs us not much, and so I can essentially give it to you for free. So it's, I mean, there's no charge. I've already got approval from the CEO, even though I'm the general manager, so I could just give it to you anyways, but we did confirm it's no problem. You don't have to put a card in, it'll automatically work, and you can share it with unlimited. You have 50 site keys, which means that you can have up to 50 different configurations. What most people do is they'll just have one configuration for all the different sites, and you can share that secret across all of them, but it's entirely up to you and how you want to set it up. But yeah, for Pro, no charge.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, thank you, Sean. That's wonderful
no problem
to hear. And I mean, if it's in our vision, so to say, to have all our websites that obviously require handling of supported data to be fully GDPR compliant. So I'm not gonna say you will have an increased scope within a very short amount of time, but that's the direction where we're going to. And if there is any field that would be the ideal world for us. So
not a problem. Yeah. So the account, the way we have Pro configured is it'll work up to 1 million requests per month, which across all of your sites, I think even if you added support and stuff, you'd probably be lower than that. But if you end up going higher, we can figure something out.
I mean, I wish it was higher, but I don't think it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not a problem. We service a number, like the International Red Cross is one of our customers, and so on and so forth. So we have a lot of international charities and charity-based systems that are out there,
okay.
and we see about the same level of traffic. We've gotten pretty good at understanding what different markets, let's say, are going to consume versus not, which is another reason why we're not terribly concerned about just giving it to you for free.
Oh, fantastic. That's fantastic to hear. All right. I appreciate that enormously, Sean. Let me just cut off the recording. Okay.